Hello everyone, and welcome back to the A-Side. I'm your host, Riley, and virtual cartoon band Gorillaz have put out their newest album, Cracker Island. I don't get why they had to call me out with the title, but whatever. I wasn't aware I owned an island. Gorillaz is a band I love. They were the third band I ever really got into, like after Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy. Their previous album, Song Machine, was great. It's in fact one of two new releases, I've ever given a 10-2 on this channel. The other one was for the first time. So, what do I think of their new album, Cracker Island? Well, before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It's free, and you can always unsubscribe later if you want. Cracker Island is a chill album. It's a very chill album. In fact, if it chills out anymore, it's going to fall asleep. I think Damon was going for like a sad, melancholy vibe on his vocals, but he ended up sounding tired and uninterested. It sounds like he doesn't want to be there, and when the band doesn't sound like they're excited over their music, it makes it very hard for you to get excited over the music. I've heard some people compare Cracker Island to the latest 21 Pilots album, Scaled and Icy, and I definitely see it. Both are albums from bands that are typically very interesting musically. Bands who fluidly blend and incorporate different genres and sounds, keeping things incredibly fresh. And on both albums, the bands choose to make a pretty one-note pop album that appeals to the mainstream, and lose a lot of personality in the process. On Cracker Island, we get a bland synth-pop sound pretty much all the way through. It doesn't sound bad, but it's very rarely ever interesting or exciting. Both in the vocals and the music, this album was so much of what made Gorillaz a special band. There's no spark or fire here. This album doesn't justify its existence in a lot of places. TLDR, this album is boring. Like, really boring. Which is so rare for Gorillaz, who, in my opinion, have never made a bad album before this. But Cracker Island is so boring and uninteresting. And it's forgettable. Take Silent Running, for example. Silent Running is a 4.5-minute long song, and nothing happens in it. Not a thing. Adelaide Omatayo is on here for what? Some vocal runs in the background? Nothing happens in this runtime. Baby Queen is a bland synth-pop song that feels like pulling teeth to get through. Tarantula starts out interesting. Doesn't sound good, but it's interesting. However, it quickly fades back into the bland one-note synth-pop sound of the record. For the record, I like synth-pop. I just did a video about churches. But here, it just feels like an attempt to be broadly appealing, and it lacks a serious love or passion that is in the other Gorillaz albums. Those songs are just boring and forgettable, but some songs on this record are bad. Tormenta featuring Bad Bunny is just a reggaeton song. No Gorillaz charm or experimentation. Damon just made a Bad Bunny song and had Bad Bunny come on it. I've always hated reggaeton. It's a very repetitive and bland and poorly produced genre, and this song is no different. It's got that tuka beat on the weak drums like every single reggaeton song does. And Bad Bunny's vocals, they do sound good. I will give him that. But woof, this was just poorly conceived. It doesn't feel like a Gorillaz song. It is a mid, not even mid. It's just a dime a dozen reggaeton song, and it did not need to be on this record. Oil has Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac on it. If I was 50, I'd be going crazy. Alas, I'm not. I don't really care. She doesn't do much here anyway. She just sings harmonies with Damon, and they actually sound really good together. They work well off of each other. I actually liked the song at first, but the more I listened to it, the album, the more the song grew off of me, mostly because the synth progression is literally just Daft Punk's One More Time. I'm also not a huge fan of the lyrics. I hate when lyrics reference the music itself and like how great music is. That shit is meta and obnoxious. So the lyrics, "you'd be falling into the bass and drum," really get my goat. That's in the chorus too, which is annoying, so it keeps repeating over and over again. I'll admit, Skinny Ape isn't horrible. The lyrics are cool. I'm just a skinny little ape. It's such a cool way of saying, I'm just a dude, you're just a dude. At the end of the day, we're nothing but skinny apes. We're not that special, and don't take us so seriously. And the song is the penultimate track of the record, and it has like this big climax at the end of it. But after such like a bland and uninteresting album, that climax, that explosion, it's not earned in the slightest, and it means absolutely nothing in the grander context. And Damon still sounds very uninterested vocally here. When I saw the title, The Tired Influencer, on the track list, I was very worried. And I was right to be worried. The Tired Influencer is by far the worst song on the album. The song makes Damon sound so old. Like, so old. I just want to say, okay, boomer, every time I hear it. It's a cracked screen world is one of the most garbage lyrics Damon has ever written. What are you, 70, dude? You kids and your phones is all I get out of this. It's so overdone and so cringe. When a band like the 1975 does it, it's so interesting. Matty Healy is young enough to have lived it and understand it. And when he makes a song criticizing social media, phones, and influencer culture, it's nuanced and detailed. He says something like, social media is bad because it's setting unrealistic expectations for the youth and teenagers that people are trying to follow. There's a standard set for what you should be like for clout and popularity on social media, and the chase for that is disintegrating sincerity and individuality for some and created serious mental health problems for others. Where when Damon makes a song criticizing social media, it's a cracked screen world. Look at these kids on their phones, missing the world around them. Back in my day, like I said, he sounds so old and out of touch. I really hate the serious samples here, too. I mean, can you get any more on the nose? The marketing for this album was really misleading as well. When you name your album something as striking as Cracker Island, the lead single and the title track has this really cool cult imagery in the lyricism, and all of the marketing and media has to do with like Murdoch starting a cult, which is funny and cool, and it's even on the album cover. But after the first track, all of that is dropped. The cult concept is completely gone, and it could have been really interesting, but no, instead we're left with a pretty bland and hollow album. Now I've been very critical of this album so far. However, when the songs on Cracker Island are good, all two of them, it's magic, baby. I mean, the album opens with the immaculate title track. The robotic, buzzy synths are like a machine on a program loop. The song itself is very repetitive, but in a very hypnotic way. It's entrancing. This robotic, hypnotic, entrancing sound pairs perfectly with the lyricism and themes of a cult. When in a cult, you're kind of brainwashed and hypnotized. You're programmed and brainwashed to act a certain way and be a certain way. And as the song continues, Damon's deadpan delivery starts to pick up, and the groovy killer bass and Thundercat's backing vocals come in. This is representative of breaking out of the cult and starting to think for yourself as things start to come alive. You're breaking out of that, monotonous hypnotism. I interpret the song as being a criticism of celebrity worship and celebrity culture. Celebrities appear to be much more glamorous and perfect, and many worship them as gods and as more than people, despite the fact that they are just normal people. They auto-tune the truth as within reference to celebrities using things like Photoshop to make themselves appeal perfect and even more ideal than we think they already are. Underneath the Hills is within reference to the Hollywood Hills, and the breaking out of the cult is representative of Gorillaz themselves, being a virtual band created to satirize celebrity worship. It's representative of Damon himself breaking out of that cult of celebrity worship and then taking us all with him, saying, I drink to riot, starting a movement, starting a riot. This is a genius song lyrically, and I think one of Damon's sharpest concepts. Musically, like I said, it's mind-blowing. The buzzy synths entrance you. The bass is incredibly groovy. Thundercat's falsettos are great, especially when they harmonize. And I think Damon's vocal performance is actually great here, too. There's such a fire in the way he sings. They taught themselves to be a cult. Cracker Island is more than likely my favorite song on the album. However, New Gold is also an amazing song. New Gold features Tame Impala, who's just one guy, by the way, and Booty Brown, who worked with Gorillaz on the classic track Dirty Harry. This really isn't much of a Gorillaz track, because I feel Tame Impala really takes it over. But regardless of that, it's amazing. The first time Parker's sultry psychedelic vocals come in with these really fuzzy guitars and interstellar synths right at the beginning, I feel like I'm descending into a colorful LSD trip. It's an amazing moment. Then the bass grooves come in on the verse and create such a smooth, silky, and psychedelic sound. Broody Brown's monotone and deadpan verse adds to the psychedelic nature of the song. I mean, Damon barely shows up, but it doesn't matter because the song takes you on a trip. I also think closing track Possession Island featuring Beck is alright. It's just different from the rest of the record. It's got a really pretty piano line on it, and the weird mariachi sound that pops up by the end is pretty cool. In the end, Cracker Island is Gorillaz' most bland and forgettable album to date, and easily their worst. With a bland, mass-appealing synth-pop sound and an uninterested Damon, it makes this a pretty miserable listen. But hidden within that monotony, we find two of the best songs to come out of the Gorillaz moniker, Cracker Island and New Gold. Not the worst album ever, but not one I'm really ever going to come back to. Kind of mid TBH. 5- out of 10. What did you think of Cracker Island? Let me know in the comments below, and leave a like if you want to see me rank all of Gorillaz albums. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time.